welcome to the first part of my Halloween horror film series. So if you don't know what it's about, then go ahead and watch the intro video. It's only about a minute and a half. It will explain more in detail. I will leave a link in the cards and in the description. Basically, I've decided to change it slightly. Instead of just recommending 2 indie horror films, I will be recommending 4. They will be quickly explained and just to mix it up a bit and to add variation. I did it because there were so many films to recommend, and horror, like always, is very subjective, so I will try to provide a variety of horrors to suit everyone. Before we start this, it's obviously spoiler free, so enjoy. Halloween is such a great holiday. It's one on the calendar I always try to make the best of, and most importantly try to watch the best films, and in my opinion here are some of the ones I would stick to throughout the Halloween season. So my first scary recommendation is Jennifer Kent's The Babadook. At the time, Australian distribution company Madman Entertainment were independently funded. I believe they may have been bought out by somebody like Hasbro or a bigger company or something, but basically back in 2014 it was independently funded. In 2014, The Babadook took the critical film world by storm after being released at Sundance and by the end of the year to the public. Let's just say that there was a lot of hype behind this Australian cult triumph. Kent, the director, said that the origins of The Babadook can be traced back to when she was making short films, and she created and wrote a short film that was entitled The Monster. She referred to it quite a lot as the baby Babadook. She was inspired by 1950s B-grade horror films, and originally The Babadook was a film that she wanted to shoot in black and white. So The Babadook is a monster / psychological horror film about a single mother living with her troubled son in Adelaide, Australia. She has a troubled yet vaguely unexplained past, and in great terrifying fashion her son starts experiencing strange erratic behaviour. But the film really starts getting scary when the son asks his mother to read a pop-up storybook called Mr. Babadook. And it's really eerie and it's uncomfortably mysterious. Her days then get a lot more difficult when her son starts to tell her of his imaginary monster with a large black top hat, scary zombie looking face and sharp bird-like talons for fingers that creates a sound unlike anything that I've heard since the days of The Grudge back in 2004. It's a sinister creature that haunts, disturbs and makes her life a lot worse, to say the least. I feel like if you really enjoy a monster film or a ghost film that really attempts to affect your sensory experiences, especially horrific and uncomfortable sounds, then this one is for you. You cannot sit through this, I don't believe, without being disturbed. Over Halloween, this film can be found for free on the BBC iPlayer for UK viewers. For everyone else, it's Amazon, Apple TV and even YouTube for under $5 for everyone else. Next is a British A24 relatively new release from early 2019, The Hole in the Ground. So continuing from the theme of The Babadook, and a film that's been likened to The Omen and Hereditary, which you can kind of see where this one's going, The Hole in the Ground is another creepy horror situated around the child of the story. Independently produced by Savage Productions and the Irish Film Board and distributed by UK Vertigo Films, The Hole in the Ground is about a character, Sarah, and her son Chris, starting their new life, unfortunately and conveniently, next to a creepy old forest in the sticks of the Irish countryside. And a lot of creepy things start happening, of course, like in The Babadook. Chris starts exhibiting strange behaviours, not to mention the least he eats creepy crawlies when his mother isn't looking. It's another absentee father film about a disturbed child, and Sarah starts to believe it could be caused by a strange sinkhole in the forest. It's hard to talk about it really without giving too much away, but what I will say is Hereditary isn't far off in terms of similarity, and that was creepy as shit. So is he an imposter? Is he possessed by a demon? One thing I do know is that you will be cringing and jumping in your seats. Again, this can be found on nearly all streaming services apart from Netflix, I believe, for basically under £2 or in other parts under $5. So in this video series I mentioned variation, and if you just aren't looking for a scary film, then a horror comedy might be up your street. I mean, Life After Beth actually does have its creepy moments for sure, don't get me wrong, and Aubrey Plaza pulls her character off perfectly in disturbingly serious style like she usually does. But on the whole, it's another zombie end of the world adaptation that is just funny and almost unbelievably silly at times. It's the first American film on this list about a girl named Beth that passes away and suddenly returns from beyond the grave to infatuate about her ex and stalk him. Other than the fact that Beth returns alive, creepy things start happening, which is where I find this film really comes into its own. Beth becomes increasingly unstable and violent, which at times is often hilarious. but towards the end, the horror aspect begins to unfold. And if you are like me and you admire zombie-style films, believe me, it is unique due to its writing style, and it's one that you can't miss if you're a zombie fan. I'd say this for all you Halloween fans that aren't really looking for anything serious at Halloween, just comedy fans that want to embrace the festive season but ultimately just have a laugh. This can be found on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. So the last independent one from this part is a film that when released was said to be the scariest movie ever made. And it's one I just had to add. Streaming on Netflix in 2017, Veronica is a Spanish paranormal horror film that many people couldn't get through. I mean, no joke. Most people found this so scary, this foreign flick too scary to even finish. Unless you do understand Spanish, Veronica might be hard to watch if you are constantly trying to make sense of the fast-speaking dialogue. But quite honestly, even without understanding the story, this one is terrifying. Veronica is based in the city of Madrid and loosely on the 1991 Velázquez case, where Estefania Gutierrez mysteriously died after supposedly using a Ouija board. Distributed by Sony Pictures, releasing and previewing at TIFF 2017, it made a lot of people jump out of their seats. Veronica is a 15-year-old girl living with her mum in a working class part of Madrid. She goes to a deeply religious Catholic school, which I thought just made this story twice as scary, due to the continuous and indirect warnings from her superiors about contacting the dead and messing with the afterlife. You see Veronica's father passed away and ultimately she just wants to contact him, but wow, does hit the fan when Veronica and her friends do use the Ouija board. Even that scene alone was hard to watch. I was an idiot and I watched it by myself at uni in a dark room, and yeah, it was quite tough. Plot wise, it's just your bog standard ghost story really, and a haunting, but I mean it's spoiler free so I can't really go into too much. All I'll say is the style, the editing and the dark slow ambience of the film, along with the hype, let's face it, and of course tragic, supposedly true backstory adds to its terrifying demeanour. I thought it was creepy anyway, and it should still be on Netflix, probably for the rest of the time, if you want to give it a watch. And now, finally, each video will be rounded off with my classic horror recommendation. It just had to be the original Halloween from 1978. So basically, Halloween is about Michael Myers, and in 1963, how he viciously kills his own sister. Then, for the years after, he's approached by a psychological professor named Lumen. Lumen tells everybody that Michael is not right and that his mind is very much like a serial killer. Lo and behold, years later in 1978, he comes out or escapes a mental institution and goes on a rampage in a small community in Illinois. And that's basically it really. He comes back, he kills a lot of people, and he tries to go and, I guess, reminisce in his past house, and is haunted by the death of his sister. I love this film, and for 1978 at the time, it was such a masterpiece. It was very brave, and I believe it was the first horror film to actually use the POV style killings, point of view, actually putting the audience into the twisted mind of a 6-year-old Michael Myers as he kitchen knife kills his own sister. Not to mention the Scream Queen herself gives a stellar first-time performance worthy of many upon many upon many upon many remakes. Speaking of which, the 2018 Halloween remake would have been a very close second recommendation, but for the fact that it's not really a classic, only the classic horror film encapsulates John Carpenter's horror masterpiece. For me, the slasher genre isn't so much scary, but I don't really think it's outdated either. I mean, if anything, it just stands as a thriller, most times often macabre and gory. But again, a film that will still provide jump scares and induce a real Halloween-ish vibe. So there you have it, part 1 of the best Halloween horror movies to watch in October. This is just a note to my current subscribers. I don't have that many at the moment, but for everyone that has subscribed and is enjoying my independent reviews, previews and content, thank you very much, and I really hope that you are enjoying them. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you are new, leave a comment for any films that you agree or disagree with on this list, and let us know what Halloween horrors you would recommend. And of course, look out for part 2 next week. On that note, take care everybody.